Cops. Who is the smartest criminal you have ever met? A guy I went to high school had been stealing from Walmart in a pretty clever way. He would grab video games, MP3 players, beer etc. and throw them away in a trash can in the garden section. The workers never checked the trash contents, and he would just wait, sometimes 5 hours, until they emptied the trash in the back dumpster and hop in to get his items. Once he took a cardboard box from a display inside, filled it with video games, a PS3, and extra controllers. He grabbed some tape and pens and drew all over the box and taped it up to make it look used and tossed it. An hour later he had a whole new PS3 and stack of games. I heard about one person that pulled a shoplifting scam on a large, popular, and well-known US retail store. They walked in with some cheap nylon product to get one of those. I walked in with this stickers they used to put on returning merchandise. The sticker easily peeled off the product undamaged. They walked to the electronics department, grabbed an expensive box off the shelf and went to customer service. They placed the sticker on the big box and asked if they could return the item without a receipt. Unfortunately, no. Not without the original receipt. Dang it, and they walk out. Customer service even gave the doorman the thumbs up, having just interacted with the customer. This took place before widespread inventory controls and cameras everywhere. A French thief who spent 10 years in prison turned his life around and became a comedian when he got out. One of his stories is about a scheme he pulled. He would find a building, go in, choose a floor and transform the exit door into an extra apartment. Puts the apartment number, fake lock, welcome rug, and everything else. Then he puts an iPhone for sale online. The person comes to buy it. He opens the door in a shower robe and says, "Give me 1 second, I'm just going to count the money," and poof, he's gone from the exit stairs. Mandatory, not a police officer, but the story of the Mumbai Opera House jewelry heist probably belongs here. Sometime in 1987 a guy placed an ad in the newspaper, looking for recruits to the CBI, the investigative police agency in India. A bunch of people showed up. He'd rented an office to interview them. He selected 26 of the candidates, told them to assemble the next day near a popular jewelry shop to practice a mock raid. He had a fake search warrant and all handy. Then he led these guys to conduct a raid on the jewelry shop. Together they collected all the jewelry in the shop, took all the cash, and then he asked the trainees to keep a watch on the shop employees while he deposited the stuff. He then walked out and disappeared. It took half an hour for someone to suspect something wrong and call the actual police. They never caught the guy, never even found out who he was. The balls on that man. Dude noticed that the bank vault had put its safety deposit boxes in a way that there was a space at the 90-degree point that wall meets wall. He times it on a Friday and climbed and hid in that spot. He had actually rented out a box which he put in a clock which alarms violently to see if there are sound sensors in the vault. Waited outside, nothing. Employees closed the vault with him inside. He has the whole weekend and gets to knocking the locks out with a hammer one at a time and stole everything. He then replaced the locks back to look like they are not tampered with and jumped back into the spot. Monday morning the vault is open. Turns out bank was doing renovations. He picked that day, throws on a worker's jacket and literally walks out the bank. Employees did not notice till the first person who came to open his safety deposit box. The lock fell in. They could not identify who did it and he would have got away with it save his big mouth. Turns out he was a hairdresser and kept telling his customers how he stole from the bank and he was a genius and they will never catch him. Someone snitched and he was picked up. They could not value what he stole as safety box contents are unknown. Because of this dude, all banks now fill the space where the two safety cabinets meet with concrete. The story goes like this. A homeowner walks out one morning to drive to work only to find his car missing. He reports the car stolen to police. A few days later, his car is sitting back in front of his house. When he gets inside he finds a note. It was an apology that said the thief was in dire need of quick transportation and so he borrowed the first car he found with the keys inside. The writer noticed the sticker on the car for the local sports team, and just so there were no hard feelings, he left 4 tickets to an upcoming game in the glove box for the homeowner and his family. So the homeowner and his family attend the game, but when they return home they find the house has been ransacked and all items of value are gone. Once had a guy who shoplifted on an industrial scale. He stole hundreds and sometimes thousands of pounds worth of merchandise from a particular well-known high street clothing store. Every day, he'd go to different branches all over the country, UK obviously. He spoke nicely and was smartly dressed. He just used to fill up bags with high-value products and walk out. He had a warehouse-type unit somewhere, police never found it, with his own till, because he would generate till receipts for these items and go back to return them, at a different branch, and get cash refunds. He was at it for years, made enough to put his kids through private school. When he got caught, he was jailed for about a year. Our shoplifting sentencing guidelines are absurdly low. When he came out, he got back on it. Police still couldn't find his base. He was being investigated and was on bail. One occasion when he answered his bail at the police station, the police had a 6-man surveillance team ready to tail him and track down the warehouse he was using. He lost them within 2 minutes of leaving the station. When he came for trial based on the CCTV evidence we had from the various shops, the case got thrown out. The footage wasn't good enough to make out his features exactly, and the officer who purported to identify him hadn't followed procedures. After he was thus acquitted, he was due to be investigated for some other matters, but he gave the police and security the slip from the court before he could be arrested. Even I was impressed, and I was prosecuting him. I am a police officer, but the story is actually from my dad, who was a lawyer. He had a couple of guys who had scratch-built an ATM. This would have been back in the 80s, before the days of skimmers and cameras to clone cards, so they built their own ATM and installed it in a wall on a public street in order to collect card details to use later on. I don't know if it actually dispensed money, I'm guessing it just showed an error message. He told me that very occasionally he had come across criminals who had worked so hard for their spoils that he felt they had kind of earned them. These guys were his example. He was also confused that 2 people smart enough to do this chose not to make an honest living. Not a cop, but a cop told me about this. Evidently there were these 2 twin brothers, big, tall, muscular fellows. Their scam was ingenious. Both brothers would go into Home Depot separately and each begin shopping, filling up his cart with high-value stuff, each filling up his cart with identical items. The first brother would go to the cashier and legally pay for his purchases. He'd show his receipt at the door and take his purchases out of the store. The second brother would hang around the entrance, far enough from the exit not to arouse suspicion. The first brother would take his car to the entrance and give the receipt to the second brother. First dude then takes his purchases to load up in their vehicle. Second brother then takes the cart full of items, plus receipt, back to the returns counter and says he changed his mind and wants his money back. Home Depot would refund the purchases. Dude basically just sold Home Depot their own items. Evidently they pulled this trick off and on for years before someone caught on. Cops said they probably would have kept on getting away with it for years if they hadn't hit the same store so often.